Hi, I'm Angela Wilder. Welcome to this edition of Conversations. I am so excited today to have as my guest Miss Rosa Johnson, also known as Malikia. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. Even better
good.
now that you're here.
Oh, thank you so much, Beauty.
We have so much to talk about. Now, we've met before.
Yes.
But we did not have enough time to unfold your incredible story.
And will we have enough time today?
I don't know if we'll have enough time, but we are sure going to give it our best effort.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
So we're here in Winston-Salem, but did you grow up here in Winston-Salem?
No, I'm originally from California, from Oakland, California, from the East Bay.
Okay.
So I grew up in the East Bay, and I raised my children in California.
Now, how many children do you have?
Originally, I had 4 children,
Okay.
2 sons and 2 daughters.
Okay.
And one of my sons, Alif, he passed away 22 years ago. He was 33 years old.
Okay.
And that's what brought me to Winston-Salem.
Okay. All right, so Alif passed away. And you say that's what brought you to Winston-Salem?
Yes.
How so?
Actually, it was my aunt, Dr. Angelo, Maya Angelou.
Okay.
Yeah.
She says it's like, oh, it's my Aunt Jean.
It's
all
my
right,
aunt.
so your aunt.
Yeah,
Yes.
my son had passed, and the day he died, which was my birthday, my Aunt Maya happened to be in town. And she had supported me and my son during his whole illness, because he passed from complications from HIV.
Okay.
And the day that Alif passed, Aunt Maya happened to be in Oakland visiting her son Guy. And they called me and they said, you know, your son has passed away. So Aunt Maya sent a driver to come and get me. I went up to my cousin's house and sat in her lap for about 4 hours as she rocked me into some semblance of stability. My cousin Guy took care of all the burial and all that for my son. And then Aunt Maya left town. She was only in town passing through to see her son, she thought, but passing through to support her niece. And then after my son passed, I was a broken vessel. I didn't know what to do. And my aunt called me, she goes, baby, I want you to come to Winston. I'm like, why? She says, I want you to come and heal your heart. And it was spring. And so I came.
Yes.
I say that simply, but it wasn't that simple.
Well, and when you told the story, I was thinking there really are no coincidences. I don't think that there are coincidences.
Right.
And the fact that she was there
Yes.
when he died,
Yes.
when you needed her,
Yes.
was no coincidence.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So when she saw, I called her and told her, I said, Auntie, I don't know what to do. What am I going to, I was a drug counselor at the time. And she said, well, come here, come to Winston. And it was an I wrote a poem about that journey here.
Yes.
I didn't want to fly here. I thought it would be too traumatic for my brain to go from Oakland, San Francisco to Winston-Salem.
Yes.
So I got an old lover of mine to drive me cross country, and Maya arranged for hotels and motels along the way, and it took us 3 days. And we got here about 3 o'clock in the morning, and Aunt Maya answered the door in all her stuff. Diamonds, rubies, caftan, the house was smelling like everything. And I go, Auntie, are you going out? I'm sorry. She says, no, dear, I dress for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, I knew I was in the right place, you know. So that's what brought me to Winston. And initially, I wasn't coming to stay. I thought I would just come here, you know, go through Renelda Village, heal my heart, pray, blah, 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 and then go on to Honduras, because that's where I was going.
Yes.
But Winston-Salem just mesmerized me. And my Aunt Maya meant to keep me here.
So what was it about Winston-Salem that mesmerized you?
It was the beauty of it all, and the cleanliness. It was so clean. In fact, when I invited my mother to come here and she came, she says, you know, Rosa, it's such a clean city. So that's what prompted me to come. Actually, my aunts, because my aunt has been very instrumental in my life, all of my life. So I trust her guidance. I mean, she said, come, I came.
I think the whole world trusted her guidance.
I trust her
yes,
guidance,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you came to Winston-Salem, you got mesmerized.
Yes.
You decided to stay.
Yes.
And then what?
Well, like I say, I was a drug counselor initially in San Francisco at the height of the crack epidemic, which was very eye-opening for me and heartbreaking. And so I wanted to do drug counseling here because I knew the problem was here too.
Yes.
And my aunt said, no, you're not emotionally fit for that. I want you to go to school. Go to school? Go to college. I'm like, Auntie. She said, well, don't you want to go to college? Well, I never thought of it. I had 4 children at 21 years old. So it never occurred to me to go to college. That seemed way out there somewhere. So my aunt says, well, I think you should go to school. I said, okay. So she, Dr. Velma Watts, and Dr. Dolly McPherson, another professor at Wake Forest, walked me up the steps of Salem College and enrolled me. And it was the most amazing experience.
Yes. I think when we have people, and you hear this all the time, that sometimes we have to have people who believe in us more than we believe in ourselves.
True.
And it sounds like that's one of the things she did for you.
Absolutely, all of my life. Many times in my life, I remember I called her, I had a home up in the Altadena Hills, and I said, Auntie, and one of my girlfriends, Barbara O, who was an actress, Barbara O had this big house, 3 cars, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Auntie, I feel like I'm not really, doing it. She says, baby, life loves the liver of it. And you have done more living in your life than most people have in a lifetime. It's okay. And so that calmed me down, And her constant reminder to me all my life was that God loves you, no matter what, So yes, she had a belief, and I wrote a poem about her belief in me called The Nest. And she believed in me all my life when I thought I was faltering and falling by the wayside,
Yes. Can you recite that poem?
The poem, I wish I could, The Nest. I didn't bring it with me, but you loved me when I thought I was unlovable. You provided a nest for me that healed me and allowed me to grow my wings back and fly. And I thank God for you. Now that poem is in Sonia Young and Walter Young in Atlanta.
Yes.
They did a time capsule of Aunt Maya's work, and that poem is in the time capsule.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where is the time capsule?
In Atlanta.
Is it buried somewhere?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Somebody in the future is going to open that and be blessed
it has
again.
all kinds of treasures in it.
Yes, yes. So you mentioned Honduras.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you go?
I did. A friend of mine, Dr. Sebi, who is a herbalist, a herbalist, who is a personal friend of mine. He has a healing space in Culebra, Honduras, called the Usha Institute. And Dr. Sebi's formula for healing deals with raw foods, herbs, water.
Yes.
So my son was in the last stages of HIV, and I told my Auntie Maya, I want to take him down to Honduras. So we took him down. And when we first arrived, my son couldn't walk any further than from here to that wall. After bathing in those sacred waters there, my son could walk a block.
Oh, wow.
And I witnessed all kinds of healings. I don't know if you're familiar with the HIV virus, but part of it is that you have zosters. Those are skin eruptions, right? Sores. And after a week, I saw those sores begin to heal from the inside out, from bathing in those waters, eating that raw food and those herbs, whatever Dr. Sebi was doing. And so I witnessed all kinds of healings, and I'm convinced that had I gotten my son there earlier, we could have turned that thing around. But as life would have it, it wasn't to be. And my son decided, he said, "Ma, I don't want to die here. Let's go home." So we went back to California, and he passed on my birthday.
Yes.
Yeah, but that Honduras experience was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I traveled to Bali with a friend of mine who was fighting breast cancer, and likewise saw some amazing things happen.
Yeah.
And experienced some amazing things just being in proximity to her, and also I think so much our minds, the mind-body connection is real and so strong.
It really is real.
And we saw some things that we would say to people, and they'd say, "Oh, you guys are kidding. That didn't really happen. You know." But so that's there.
Yeah, had I not witnessed these healings in my son, I don't know. I am a believer in holistic healing initially, anyway. So I wouldn't be such a skeptic, but to see it happening in my boy was just so rewarding. Yeah.
So I know that you are an artist and a writer and such a creative. Tell me some of the ways that your creative expression manifests itself.
That was one of my business names, called Creative Expressions. Years ago. Currently, I am writing my story, a memoir.
Yes.
Straw and to Go. And I am a jeweler. And I do have, one of the reasons I wanted to come back to Honduras was because I know that I have healing abilities. I know that I'm a healer, and I know that either by word of mouth or touch or whatever. I know that the Most High has imbued in me the healing, the capacity to heal, to sense out and heal others. And I'm grateful for that, you know. So I for many years I sew, I design, because I made clothes for my children. I had 4 kids, so, you know, in the 60s.
Piece Goods. Remember those Piece Goods stores?
Oh my goodness, Piece Goods. Yeah.
Yes, I'm the granddaughter of a woman who could take a yard of fabric and make, she could cover furniture, she could make clothes, doll clothes.
Oh yes.
You name it.
Doll clothes,
so, yes.
I'm a doll maker and I make doll clothes too. So the level, the expressions of creativity in my family is unlimited. And I'm happy to say that because it keeps us balanced, you know, in a world so out of balance.
Yes.
I was telling one of my ex-husbands that if I had some John Coltrane, some art to do, then it could heal everything, and some good tea could heal everything, you know?
So there are a couple things I want to back up. You mentioned Straw into Gold. Tell me about Straw into Gold.
Straw into Gold is the name of my book that's going to come out. And it is also a name of a show that I presented here in Winston-Salem.
Yes, yes.
And my darling daughter, my youngest daughter, Matima, curated this show for me. And I braided hair and traveled around the world with Stevie Wonder and Nina Simone and all that. And my daughter, I had sent boxes. I'm an archivist. I archived all of Aunt Maya's papers. So as it turns out, I've been archiving my papers too. So I have all this stuff. And one evening, I sent a box of my photographs to my daughter's house, just for her to look at and whatever. And she called me 2 o'clock in the morning, "Malikia?" I'm like, "Matima, what is it?" "Malikia, you did all this?" I said, "Yes, Matima." "Mom!" I said, "What did you think I was doing all those 14 hours away? I was braiding hair, I was creating art." She said, "Oh, Ma, we've got to share this with Winston-Salem." I said, "Okay, whatever you decide." So she decided that we would do a presentation of my work. And the name Strong to Go is the name of my book because my life, we took, by the grace of God, I took the straw that was my life because I was a victim of various abuses as a child and turned it into the gold that is my life now.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what Straw into Gold is about. And I think now I'm polishing the gold. Since I'm in the third half, as my daughter let me know, Ma, you're in the third half of your life, because I turn 75 next month. And she said, Ma, you're in the third half of your life. So now I'm polishing the gold.
Yes. And I think that's so beautifully put, because so many people these days feel like their lives are straw.
Ah, yeah.
And for you to share your story helps other people have hope.
Yeah.
Or maybe see a way that they can turn their straw into gold.
Yeah, you know, there are so many ways that one can take whatever is presented to you. First of all, you don't have to accept it as the end all. You know, to say, oh, I have a resident, she said, oh, Miss Rosa, I'm an ex-felon. I said, but that doesn't say who you really are.
Right.
The essence of who you are is deeper than that. It's bigger than that. In fact, just recently, this young girl who told me she'd never get a job, just got a job.
Yes, yes.
So,
yes.
yeah, you know, we sometimes get bogged down with labels. And, you know, because I was a high school dropout, I was a delinquent, I was a bad girl. So you think, oh gosh, she gonna end up in a project, she got 4 kids, she ain't nothing to do. No.
Right.
That is not my reality.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be one's reality unless you accept it as such.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Your mind and your intention you have the ability to change your whole life and create for you just what you want.
Yes. In my coaching, I call it identity capital. And so we have the ability and the power to really create our own identity.
Absolutely.
And when you figure out who is it that I want to be,
Yes.
and then we start to gather the pieces to create that identity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. And if more people could grasp, like you say, that it's only your reality if you decide that's your reality.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know, it's all a part. There's a whole re-education that needs to happen. And it can't happen on a broad scale because people don't trust that. So subtly and within our own communities and our families, if we drop those seeds of possibilities, we're like, come on now, your life is like an acorn. What does an acorn do? The acorn no bigger than this. And from that grows what? A mighty oak tree. Come on, people.
Yes, yes.
All things are possible,
Yes.
you know. Our family, including, of course, my Aunt Maya, we are firm believers in affirmative prayer.
Absolutely.
As opposed to, oh, please, oh, no, thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for the
Yes.
blessing, because I know I'm worthy.
Yes.
And I appreciate it, and thank you.
Yes.
You know, and that's what our family has been propagating for generations.
I grew up in the Methodist church, but when I moved to California, I then started to attend Agape.
Oh, yes.
And so the whole idea of affirmative prayer was like, yes,
Yes.
I can get with this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
As worthy children of the Most High.
Yes.
Come on now.
Absolutely.
Accept the gift.
Absolutely.
And give thanks for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So another thing that you said that I thought was interesting, because I've only been on this merry-go-round one time, but you said one of my ex-husbands.
Oh, yes.
So how many have there
had
been?
several.
Okay.
I've had 4 husbands
All
thus
right.
far.
Yes.
They were all wonderful.
Yes.
Except the first one. He was a kid. You know, we were out of high school. He didn't know what to do. But yes, I've had 4 husbands. They were all wonderful men. You know, wonderful aspects of my life. And we are still friends at this stage in our lives. None of them have remarried.
How do you stay friends? Well,
Okay,
well,
here's how
my former husband hasn't remarried, neither have I.
No.
Yeah, so I think sometimes people just
Here's one
decide?
example of state friends. I had a husband, Robert Hilton, a lovely young man. All of my children were going into puberty. And he had never married. He didn't have any children. And he was just fascinated. He would come in my shop and just watch me for days. And when he heard I was going to marry somebody else, he came to me and he said, can so-and-so help you with your children? I said, I don't know. He said, well, I want to. The man laid out his bank accounts, his investments, his everything. And he said, I want to marry you and take care of your children. So I'm like, wow, what a treat. So,
But yes,
he bought a house for us up in the Altadena Hills, big 4-bedroom house, and had a garden for me and everything. But at the time, I was traveling around the world with Stevie Wonder. I was on a rock and roll, whole nother project.
Yes.
And so each time I'd come home, I'd noticed he never wanted to travel with me. He always wanted to be there with the children, which was lovely. Thank you, Jesus. And I noticed that when I started coming home, some of the glow in his eyes was dimming. And I think he sensed that I was kind of like out there. I was in a rock and roll world. And so I decided to divorce him and give him the house. And my girlfriend's like, Rosa Malikia, keep that house. No. This man brought this house to my children. They're now grown and moving away.
Right.
Let me give this to him.
Yes.
You know, he blessed us. And many people say, oh, Rosa, keep the house, blah, blah, blah. No, I didn't have any need for it. So by my giving that to him, that created a bond between us that is lasting. If I call Robert Hilton today and ask him, I need so-and-so, he'd come for us, you know? And so I've always made it a point to, if I have to leave you, it's gonna be on amiable terms.
Yes, well,
you know.
One of the other interesting people that I've had the chance to talk to with this show says it's all about bringing everything back to love.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah.
Love is a healing force. It really is, you know. My last husband, I think it was, Danny Butler. He was from the Hill. He was Mayor Barry's right-hand man in Washington. And,
yes.
Yeah, and initially I was told that he wanted to marry me because so he could get close to Aunt Maya, which was okay, but he was a lovely person. We had a lovely house in Annapolis and everything, but he was selfish. And I found out he was selfish. The hurricane in New Orleans, Maria, was that the one?
Katrina.
Katrina, yes. When Katrina happened, Maya got busloads of clothes and everything and had her driver to take it down. My little husband said, Rosa, don't give them not one T-shirt. I said, oh, that's bye-bye. That's the end of you.
Well, and how ironic, because I believe it is your aunt, Maya, who says when people show you who they are,
believe them the first time.
Them. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, the universe may have someone else.
Oh,
but
I'm not
I have a feeling that your life is so full that if they do, for me, being single does not appear as a void.
No.
That for me does not feel like a void.
No.
It just is the state of things.
Yes, of course.
And so now you are working on your book.
I'm working on my book. And I got some good guidance from you, by the way. I'm working on my book, and I'm moving. I have an oldest son, Kwame, who's 58, I think. Yeah, he's moving here from California. And I'm hoping that he will get a whole new lease on life. Because California has been challenging for him.
It can be challenging for... yes.
So yeah, I'm working on my book. I do jewelry, but I'm not doing any of that right now. I just can't. I've been prompted to work with young women, and as a vehicle of inspiration.
Now, when you say prompted, is that spirit?
Spirit
Prompting
and people
you,
coming
or
up to me.
okay.
These young women, they come to
So
me
you've
and they
been
go,
drafted
oh,
into
I'm telling
service.
you, oh, Miss Rosa, how do you get to do this?
Yes.
How did you get to this point? Did you graduate from high school? No. Wow, Miss Rosa. So next year, prayerfully, I will be able to offer something to young women as a way of inspiring their lives, because I know how sometimes life can discourage one and say, oh no, I'm just going to accept this and this is all it is. Well, I know that isn't all it is. You know? So yeah, that's coming up.
And tell me about your garden.
Oh, I am a gardener. I did raise 4 children out of a garden. We were vegan before it was popular. And my kids tell me now, they say, Ma, you know, we used to sneak around the corner to Fat Burger. What? What? And I'm giving you tofu burgers and all this?
Yes.
Yeah, so yes, I am gardener. There's a garden here in my community. It's across from Kimberly Elementary School.
Yes.
And when I moved there, I saw the garden and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a garden, but wasn't nothing happening. I found out that garden used to be called the Maya Angelou Mother and Daughter Garden. And it was a garden to unite women coming out of prison with their daughters, but they couldn't get it off the ground.
Yes.
So how appropriate it is for me and my daughters to be a part of this garden.
It's just destiny.
It's a community garden. And I just went this morning to meet at Habitat about getting some more funding for this garden, you know, because it's a vital part of this community and we need it.
Yes.
You know.
This has been such a pleasure.
Oh, mine.
I thank you so much for all your words of wisdom and your inspiration.
Oh, God bless you.
And I just know that great things are ahead.
Oh, thank you, my dear.
Yes.
Same for you.
Thank
my
you.
granddaughter is so pleased. My granddaughter is a genius of the highest order. And I told her what we were doing. She said, oh, Grandma, I'm so glad that you're meeting other people. And yes, Grandmother, tell your story, blah.
Absolutely.
So I want her to meet you. She's pretty dynamic. She's a mother of an autistic son. And he's 9 years old. And she is such a dynamic parent for this young man,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So my whole family's enjoying that we're doing this. Thank you so much for asking me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for joining us for this conversation. I'm Angela Wilder. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.